Well, good morning and welcome to Garden Time with Nick DiBenedetto here in Granite Bay. Today we're actually going to go take a look at the garden and do a garden tour. I have many different parts of the garden. Um, my favorite is the front yard. You'll see I've done so much work on it, created, I call a fairy tale cottage. Um, but I've also gone ahead and changed our side yard on one side, and then I've taken another side and I've worked with what I got. And then our backyard is constantly evolving next to the pool. So it's really kind of just this thing that I've been working on a little bit for the last 4 years. The front yard I've worked on a lot sometimes. This year I had such a bad slug problem. I was out maybe 3 or 4 nights a week picking slugs out because they stopped drinking beer. So I wanted to keep everything as organic and as natural as possible. I wanted the beneficial insects and the beneficial bugs without the bugs that were going to go ahead and eat all the crops. So I'm super excited to show you. We're out here in the morning, one, because it's beautiful light, and two, because it's just hotter than blazes right now. So the second reason why we're doing our garden tour right now is we're probably at the peak of our flower production. We've had some come and go, but we've also had a lot of other stuff just take off. So let's get started to it, and we'll go take a look around. All right, this is our front yard. From afar, it looks like a lot. As we get closer, you'll see there is a lot. So let's start with the front borders. The front borders I tried to make a little bit more natural, and I wanted to add a perennial that was going to go ahead and just be able to take all the sun. Right here we have our sun belt, so the sun goes over right here. So I guess that's a good thing to kind of point out. And this area just gets a ton of sun. So I picked this guara. This guara is very drought resistant. I think it's on its second or third year right now. It didn't survive in all spots. We have a little bit of crepe myrtle right here, and it's just, kind of taking hold. We've got some right there. This one died. What I found is in the summer it's super hot and dry, but in the winter all the moisture comes to the front. So my next go around, I'm going to go ahead and dig down, create some more drainage, and I might add some lavender. I started off with lavender here, and the lavender did not work. So I'd say it's probably my most difficult spot of the garden. We had guara over here, but all the water from the property kind of comes down, and it stops there. So things like crepe myrtles are doing great. My one patch of grass. So we have a little bit of patchy grass right here, and then we have our main patch of grass. So, we are in a neighborhood, so I wanted to make sure and have a patch of grass for dogs. If they're going to pee on something, hopefully they pee on the grass, not my plants. But you never know. But they all have a spot. And what I'm doing with this is I'm taking all the seeds and I'm making sure they kind of come back. And you can see it spreading just a little bit. And then it's also spreading over here too. So I don't have to do anything to it except water it casually at the best. But I really don't do too much to it. So we're going to start off with the right side of the garden. The right side of the garden has some volunteers, and it also has a lot of things I've planted. So in the front we have salvia. That salvia was a volunteer. The volunteer came from the back. It just popped up this summer, or in the springtime before the summer, and I just let it go. It's a great pollinator. Everything loves it. The bees love it. The wood bees, the carpenter bees love it, and also the hummingbirds absolutely adore this plant. And being that it's in a very sunny spot in the morning, when you go into the back, we have some more salvias right in the back there, and then right over there, it's going to be the warmest spot in the morning. So the hummingbirds can come out, snack on this one first. I gave up a little bit of retail space for my tomatoes, and we're good to go. Also in the front, we have our volunteers. So these are 2 volunteers. We have a tomato plant, and then we also have a chard plant. This chard plant has just sprung up. You'll see I've let it go to seed. I've let all my chard plants go to seed, and we're going to get some volunteers. So I just kind of let them come up wherever they want to. Versus on the right side here, of the right side, we've gone ahead and added in beans. We've got some tomatillos in here. We've got a ton of squash, and we've also got sunflowers. So you'll see we have everything blooming right now. Tomatillos are just starting to come in. Oh, let's see where we go. Yeah, there's one right down there. There's another tomatillo in the center there. Our sunflowers, we have a few survivors. That was one of the favorite things for the slugs, was the sunflowers. Second favorite was the beans. Third favorite was the squash. But it's all well grown in here. It does take a significant amount of water, but we have coverage. We have stuff going. We have our beans going up the pole with some squash going up the pole. We replanted a fig tree here. So this fig tree was on the side yard. He was not doing well. I put it in a spot that was too hot, got too much sun, didn't have an area to go ahead and sprawl out. We'll check out that area that I've replaced with mulberries, but it just wasn't doing well there. Its first year up here, you can see that we've got plenty of fruit coming onto it. I just planted it this spring. It was already leafed out, but it was so happy when it got up here, it's leafing out even more. Oh, and the gladiolas. Look at these. This is what I call the jewel part of the garden. It's really one of my favorite things to come out. I love them. They're beautiful. They only last a couple of weeks. Depending on where we are in the yard, you're going to get different colors because I planted different successions. But you'll see they're doing extremely well. You can see small ones, you can see big ones. These things are propagating themselves. I don't have to take care of them, besides watering them every once in a while. And they're building a colony of gladiolas. I don't get too mad if they don't flower instantly in the beginning of the summer, because sometimes you get a few that flower later, and it just extends that beauty. Let's go check out my favorite one here. This one, right now it's my favorite. And it's just got that crimson red, just absolutely beautiful. So that brings us coming in here. So this is a pack garden. We have a mulberry tree right here. We have some salvias right there and right here. The salvias are great for creating some shade. They're also a great pollinator. They bring in the bees. These things just grow like wildfire. I have extra. I've populated them throughout the rest of the garden. Coming back from our salvia, we have a blackberry bush. It's getting kind of attacked, you'll see on the end, but it's okay. We also have some tomatoes. This thing is so densely packed you can't see much, but you'll start to see the tomatoes coming from the bottom. I've already harvested a few, and then you'll see this, just the sea of green. So this is the oregano. Oregano, you say it's taken over. Yeah, it's taken over, but it also provides a canopy for all the critters underneath. At this time of year, it provides so many blooms. All the European honeybees are just coming all over this stuff at different times of the day. In the middle of the day when it's super hot out, the oregano, the blooms are still producing nectar, and the European honeybees are coming up to it and having a good time. So let's step back here. So I have my little friends down here. We have the strawberries. So we have 2 strawberry patches, actually 3. We have one right here, one right here, and then we have another one in a little bit more of a shady area. Surprisingly, the one in the shade area is producing the most. This one right here, producing the least. It does have a bit more shade, maybe, coming from in competition. It had a little bit more slug competition as well. We have some leeks. Oh, nope, those are the onions. And then we have our leeks right here. All right, let's get out. Other vegetables we have a ton of tomatoes. I plant a lot of cherry tomatoes because I have not had the best soil for growing big tomatoes. Just haven't had it. Also, it's been pretty hot in past years. And when you don't have the perfect lighting, you don't have the perfect temperature, just grow cherry tomatoes. It sucks. You got to pick a lot of them. But I like to pick a small harvest rather than no harvest or a bum harvest. So we have these tomatoes. They're doing just great. They've got little cherries on them here and there. And then I planted another fig tree. And this fig tree, I just got a bit bigger. It's doing great as well. It had one continuous fig from last year. I don't know what you call that exactly. But it was a holdover, and it's, sprouted another 20 or 30 figs on it. I'm hoping next year even more after it's got, transfer. And then we have this border here. So this border this year has not done great. I normally get some different flowers in. We've got some oregano that's kind of creeped in. We got some borage that's here now. This is all self-seeded borage. The crazy one is right here. There's a lot of self-seeded borage. This plant was absolutely massive. It's still kind of in there. It did so well. It was so big, but it got blown over and it's not doing great now. You can actually see we have another little borage plant here. There's so much, it's kind of hard to distinguish one thing from another. Moving along the border, we just have some stuff that's just kind of patchy. In past years, I've had, really good success with it, but this year it's just kind of been okay. The star of the show has been behind. So here's our other salvia. Doing great. It's right next to a lemon tree, which is not doing great. It was doing so poor from previous years. It shot up this water sprout from outside the actual rootstock, and I let that water sprout just take hold. I figured the rootstock needed the energy. I'm going to cut it back at the end of the year and let the regular tree go, but we're going to save that tree. It's doing kind of okay now. But with the salvia last year, this thing was about 3 times as wide and twice as tall. So it was definitely getting crowded out. First time this year, I grew onions. They're doing great. This is not the super sunny part of the yard. You can see we have some bulk up of the onions. Same thing with the strawberries. From what I know now, you want more sun than what I have for these strawberries. But given what they're getting, it's doing pretty darn good. I'm happy. We have some more gladiolas. And along this border, we have our raspberry plant right here. It's got a few little raspberries still hanging on. It's kind of just popping out. And then we have our grapevine. So if you've heard it through the grapevine, you've heard it from here. Just kidding. This grapevine is great. This is the second year it's been planted. First year or second year grow out. So what I'm doing is I'm taking this and then just growing it over our trellis. And eventually it'll come down and come over to this side. So behind, this has been a little bit of a problem area, not gonna lie. I put some sunflowers back here, but I've just been having a hard time growing anything back here. The slug pressure has been so high. I don't know what to do. I also had my favorite plant in the world here, which is kind of dead now. I got to pull it out, but you'll see another plant of it right here. And these are your ground cherries. Ground cherries look just like a tomatillo. Let's see if we can zoom in there. You kind of see the little lanterns forming. Oh, It tastes like pineapple. It tastes, you know, absolutely delicious. One of my favorite fruits in the world is the ground cherry, and these came from me just throwing seeds out. So cool. This tree right here is a crepe myrtle. I'm going to do some pruning on it, um, but it's its second year here. I think I moved it 2 winters ago. And its first year, it did okay. It leafed out, but it had such a giant root ball. It had to get established. So this year, I'm going to trim up some of the branches. I'm going to trim the bottom. I might go ahead and try and propagate the bottom ones. Crepe myrtles are super easy to propagate, almost like a weed. All right, let's go to the other side of the yard. We are going to call it the weft side, or the left side of the yard. And come in here. All right, we have my favorite berry, which is the yellow. Oh, here we go. We got one kind of just ready enough. We have yellow raspberries. So absolutely delicious. We've mixed that in with some different vegetables here. We have some squash in the back. We have some tomatoes in cages. And then we have beans all over the place. Just helping out that soil turn into actual soil, add that nitrogen. We got some oregano. We got a black raspberry next to the golden raspberry. Then we have blackberry back here. Oh, also on this side, we didn't walk through the creek. We have a thorned raspberry, or thorned blackberry, and then we also have some different blackberries that started from this guy in the front, and it shot over some stems. I didn't prune them like everyone says to prune them, but they've actually propagated themselves here in the creek. All right. Oh, we have our mint forest. So one side we have mint. We've got some aloe below it. We've got our ground cherry. We've got lemon balm underneath that ground cherry. And the ground cherry was a volunteer. It just popped up. It was in the lemon balm field, so I don't feel too bad about it. So on the left side here, we have our mint bed. This is chocolate mint, not regular mint. Goes great in such a culinary flavor where it's closer to peppermint, but I'll put it in with a lot of vegetables. I do put it in with a little bit of lemon balm and a lot of oregano. For us, the oregano that we have on here is a very mild oregano. So kind of reminds me, it's our parsley, and it survives the summer. It actually thrives in the summer. So on this side, we have a little sage plant there. It's white sage. It's California native. Try to get some California natives in here. Might not be the best place for it. It's a little too wet probably, but we're gonna let them just, you know, chill this year. Get them up next year. We have one of our other gladiolas. Thing is a 3-foot gladiola, absolutely massive. We have my best tomato plant here. Look at this sucker. Oh, I got 2 more ready down there. Look at them. We got 2 here, but then we also have 2 on the inside. Probably got about 5 to 10 pounds of fruit on this and bulking up right now. This was my inspiration for getting morning light. I realized with my neighbor, we had this hedge and it was getting massive, and I trimmed it back a little bit right there, and then we had it coming up right there. This tomato plant did so well. I am so proud of it. I grew tomatoes in San Jose, and it was super easy. Coming out here to Granite Bay, not so easy. But we got it growing. There's 1 plant, 2 plant, and then we also have our 3rd plant, which was one of our scions from doing all of our pruning. So this one's not the same. It's going to be a cherry tomato, and then we have 2 San Marzanos. But definitely happy with the way the San Marzanos are turning out. Going to grow some bigger tomatoes this next year. So this is all brand new this year. So these salvias were not here this last year. You can see it kind of went out from where we had our hedge before, but it also lets some light through. And that's really important for this part of the yard. Not having the morning light here is very stressful on these plants. It's just so hot. They did not enjoy it. Plants don't enjoy afternoon sun. Unfortunately, I wish they did. If they did, I would have a hedge here. We'd have the plants here, and they'd just be doing fantastic. This year they're doing relatively well, but I had to work with what I had, and I had to kind of realize some different things and how beautiful this light is coming through, working inside the sun belt, just trickling through, growing everything. So this next year, right through here, it's going to definitely change. You can see I have some more volunteer chard right here, and it's just kind of looking bleak. It's gone out to seed. I might go ahead and pot up the roots and let it finish seeding out once I get my starts started. But if it's not started, we're going to leave it. All right, let's start going into the backyard. So our waterfall. You might wonder why we have a waterfall with no water in it. Well, behind there, this fence was not there, which is for the dogs to come out front. And that patio wasn't there. Let's take a look. And so I took the extra dirt from the patio, stacked it up here, built a retaining wall. You know, and then this year I planted in some oregano, and it was just an experiment. This is a shady part of the yard. It literally only gets afternoon sun. But I had some parts of the yard where I wanted to start pulling out the oregano. I didn't want oregano in that part. It's growing back there. But here in the front yard, oh my gosh, it's doing great underneath this. I had no idea that, it could take this much shade. It could go down a slope. It literally came off in like turf. So there's a piece that goes from down here all the way up to there. So I was able to take it out like turf, and I put it coming down. So it's our faux waterfall right now. This little creek is a dry creek until the winter. It'll fill up towards the end, and it'll start to trickle. So let's go check out our barbecue area. I guess we can call it the courtyard. Coming through the redwood forest where we've got 3 redwoods together. Not my favorite. So this area, very unique. Take a look. All right, this is our courtyard area. I did do so much planting. One of our few places we can have a fire or barbecues in the front sometimes. So we'll set this up. I'll break this down later today. But we barbecued last night. So in the front, I've tried to do a bunch of different California natives. Salvias are a California native. They're cultivars. But there's a couple of different California natives in here. You'll see different things kind of peppered in. It hasn't done great. Once again, too much shade, too much heat. Most things in California aren't set up for it. But you'll see we have a couple of different types. And have a couple of different survivors. And so I've slowly tried to replace the areas that keep on, I call it petering out, just not doing well. I want to definitely encourage the natives. Look at this guy right here. Look at that bee. He's just loving that salvia. Oh yeah. For some reason, the carpenter bees just love a purple salvia. That's their jam. So this is what we had when we came here. A lot of commercial looking landscaping. It's thriving now because it gets enough water, gets enough nutrients. That maple was tiny when we first got in, and I think it was about 4 feet. Now it's got to be about 15, 20 feet tall. We have some azaleas below it. We also have a place where the dogs like to relieve themselves. You know, you got to have a spot for everyone in your family. So I'm trying out some different things down here. We got 2 different fuchsias right down here. So hopefully these come back and they thrive. They'll do okay in some shade. Got some agripanthas that came with the house. And we have some more azaleas right here. This azalea looks like it's been here for forever, but I actually repurposed this from the backyard. Pretty cool. So we have a second azalea that got repurposed. And then we have a couple of azaleas I planted. Haven't done too well. This jade plant, done extremely well. Super happy with it. It's actually produced a little, you know, it's fallen off a little bit, created some more in an area that doesn't get much sun. This is probably the best looking jade plant in the house. We have some that are potted up and they're not doing great, but this one doing absolutely fantastic. And then we have our commercial landscaping here. So this, I just wanted to go ahead and create a green break. I put in some commercial landscaping and transplanted it from different parts of the yard. So I used what I had. It's created little babies below it. So it's definitely loving this area, but it grows slow. When it first got here, it was so Spartan. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if this is going to work, but it works. So this is the courtyard. All right, let's proceed to the backyard. And we're going to go through the side yard. This is one where we create a hedge. And then we also have some roses. So in creating the hedge, the roses get less light. Agripantha gets less light, and the camellia gets less light, but the camellia does great, produces flowers. This is actually the first year this Agripantha has produced flowers. So super happy and proud about it. We had landscape fabric underneath this whole yard in the back. And I slowly and surely over years have taken that out. There's still a little bit left. It's covering some redwood roots right there. I ain't gonna get it. But this last year I removed the landscape fabric from the Agripantha and it has done phenomenally well. All right, so you can see our hedge. This is about a week and a half into trimming the hedge. It grows extremely fast. You see at the top, it's kind of just popping out. But definitely proud of how we've been able to go ahead and hedge this up. It blocks some of the noise coming in from Douglas over here. Underneath the hedge, we have some more Agripanthas. They're not going to do well, but they're there. And then we also have some goji berries. I dug these up from the front yard. They're actually, these goji berries are where our tomato plant is. And I'd much rather have tomatoes than goji berries. Sorry. We have some asparagus ferns. I added in some jasmine and some different grapes. Then we have our mammoth, just absolutely mammoth redwood tree. You can see it up there. This sucker is growing. It's really growing fast. So on the back here, we have all of our creeping figs and our wall that we've hedged up. This is a retaining wall. It's supposed to be a 6-foot sound wall. I don't know if you can get for scale, but that is not a full 6 feet. Does not work well. We have our seed stirring area right here. This seems to do well because it gets a little portion of light and is not getting too hot. I think I solarized my soil here. And then we also have the backyard. So from hummingbird feeders, we have our mulch pile back here. I don't have a good spot for creating a compost and mulch area, but here we go. You can see that bush from the front. It's back here. We have a lot of landscaping that just came with the house. I haven't changed a whole bunch with it, but it's just grown up and done very, very well. I like it, you know? So in the back here, we have our little doggy doo-doo area going up to the redwood tree. And then we have our sunbelt area. So you can see we have some raspberries. All of our basil plants are coming in here. Look at that. Oh, blackberries and more raspberries. Then here we actually have another jade plant. The jade plant is doing okay. It needs to find its forever home. But until then, it's just hanging out. So for starting seeds, this is what the area that we have. It gets some sun, but not a ton of sun, which is perfect. You can see everything's doing well on this table here. It's 100 degrees and we still have dill doing absolutely fabulous back here. All right. And this is our backyard. The garden is doing great. All right, so this is our other side yard. So just built a brand new fence. So we have some construction debris from that. And then we also pulled out a ton of concrete. Literally a ton. So everything on this side used to look like this. We had 4 little planters going through all the way through back there. And with the sledgehammer, I've actually taken it out. Most of the concrete's still here. Still need to do my dump run. But with that, I'm grateful that I was able to do that. And it's just been a progression. So we added in some commercial landscaping here so we can grow up and have lots of shade hitting the house. You'll see this side of the house just takes a beating. You see all the cracks. So much so that when we trim down bushes, I actually put this going over here this year so we had a little bit of shade blocking that window. But the commercial landscaping has done very well. We had a volunteer fig tree. I don't know if it's going to produce figs or not yet. It's about its 3rd year growing. It's done so well. Not everything's been perfect. The bush on this side of the house, on my neighbor, doesn't do so hot. And then this guy is about ready to, bite the dust. And it does get the same water as everything else. I mean, that and this are the same type of bush. Don't know. We've also had a thorned blackberry here. So growing it up, it is a blackberry. It's not something else that you might think it is. It's got little blackberries kind of forming, but because it was constricted, I don't think it did well. This is an area that, you can see up here where it's growing to the tallest. It's got a little bit of sun, but you're only going to get the sun from here to here. So it hasn't done great. Can't blame it. But in the meanwhile, it's a fun little bush to have here. Definitely a challenge to wrangle. So we have our barbecue here. And then we have our mulberry trees. So I believe this is the Pakistani mulberry. Yeah, Pakistani mulberry. And then we have our white fruity mulberry. So in this, I took out all the concrete. We gave it a nice place. The cool thing about these is I was able to recognize that do you think this sucker has a rootstock? It's a grafted tree, 100%. But it's back here, the most exciting part, oh my gosh, we have the garbage. Yay! Is what it is. We all have a garbage spot. But hopefully these are going to get a bit more sun. So we're going to take a look at the roof line. So the roof line comes down here. It's going to get sun pretty much from 20 minutes from now all the way until 5 o'clock. We're going to let these grow up a little bit and then aggressively prune them. And then we will have our shade for this side of the yard. And I just wanted to try and keep things cool, provide a lot of shade. And hopefully we get some mulberries out of it too. Not a bad looking tree, not my favorite tree, but you know, you can see all the new green growth here. Just doing fantastic. Just got to keep it wet enough. Normally you don't have to water a mulberry tree, but these ones take a little bit of water. Um, they do. All right, coming through our last part of the garden. Look at what we got here. So this is a mix of the commercial landscaping and what I've just added to it. These roses were in our jewel part and vegetable part of the garden. Got moved up front here. Watered them the first year. I've watered them once this year. Doing great. Same thing with the gladiolas. These gladiolas, they're here. I planted them. I tried different spots in the garden. It's done great. There were 2 gladiolas planted. Now we've got 5 or 6 coming up. We got a little hedge maintenance we got to do right here. But same thing with the crepe myrtles. These crepe myrtles are absolutely going to be beautiful. They do create a lot of mess. They're not my favorite, but you work with what you got. I don't have to water these. They're just doing great. So we've also added a few stones here, and then up front. So creates a little bit of shape. We have the plants poking through, and it's just beautiful. So that's our garden tour for the day. Hopefully I didn't bore you too much. Hopefully you got to see some things you liked. You know, working with an existing property, it can be beautiful. It can be nice. You can put your own twist on it. That's what I've tried to do. Create almost like a food forest rather than just a stark commercial landscape. I think it fits the house a lot more. It's a little more whimsical, a little more fun. So hope you enjoyed. Thanks for checking us out in Garden Time Granite Bay. Have a great day.